And the Roadster is still out there orbiting the sun.
As he should be. And after that unforgettable demonstration flight, Falcon Heavy moved on to operational missions. In November of 2022, USSF 44 became the first classified national security launch on Falcon Heavy, placing sensitive payloads into high-energy orbits. And in 2023, Falcon Heavy launched the ViaSat-3 Americas mission. Then the Psyche mission, which launched later that same year, sent NASA spacecraft on a journey to study a metal-rich asteroid, providing valuable data on planetary formation.
And Falcon Heavy's most recent flight in October 2024 carried
Center
NASA's...
core RP1 load complete.
There we heard good confirmation that the center core, first stage, has completed RP1 load. That LOX load is still underway. That most recent flight, 2024, carried NASA's Europa Clipper spacecraft toward Jupiter's moon, Europa, and the mission required the full performance of Falcon Heavy to achieve the necessary escape trajectory. That brings us to today's mission, with Falcon Heavy poised to carry the ultra-high-capacity ViaSat-3 Flight 3 satellite to orbit. We'll continue to hear those callouts as RP1 loading wraps up on the side boosters over the next few minutes.
Like Falcon 9, Falcon Heavy is a two-stage launch vehicle.
Falcon Heavy's 27 Merlin 1D engines together generate more than 5 million pounds of thrust
RP1 load complete.
at liftoff, and that is the confirmation that one of the side boosters has wrapped up RP1 loading. That thrust is equal to approximately 18 747 aircraft. Shortly after liftoff, the center core engines will throttle down, and after the two side boosters separate, the center core engines will throttle back up to full thrust.
Starting from the very top of the rocket, we have the payload fairing. The fairing is a protective shell that houses the payload, shielding it from aerodynamic heating until the vehicle is
Engine chill has started.
outside of Earth's atmosphere. The shape of the fairing contributes to Falcon Heavy's overall efficiency, helping to reduce drag during flight. And once in space, the two fairing halves separate and fall back to Earth for an ocean landing, where they'll be recovered by our recovery vessel to be refurbished and reused on future flights.
Both halves of this fairing are flight-proven, with one side flying for its 25th time and the other for its 18th. And within that fairing is today's payload.
NY RP1 load complete.
The other side booster has wrapped up RP1 load. ViaSat-3 Flight 3 arrived in Florida in April to begin its pre-launch preparations and checkouts before being mated with Falcon Heavy's second stage. Here is a photo from midway through the encapsulation process. This is just before the fairing halves were closed in preparation for flight.
And here's a live view inside the second stage as we await liftoff. Now, right below the fairing is Falcon Heavy's second stage, which houses the MVAC engine. Below the second stage is the black carbon composite interstage, and inside of that is where the MVAC engine is located. The interstage connects the center core on the first and second stages and holds the release and separation system.
And below that, we have those three first-stage boosters that we've mentioned, which make up the bottom two-thirds of the vehicle. The side boosters supporting today's mission are both flight-proven, with one flying today for its 22nd time and the other just for its second. One side booster previously supported the SDA-0A, Sarah-2, Transporter 11, and 18 Starlink missions, and the other supported the GOES-U mission. As mentioned earlier, about 2.5 minutes into flight, the side boosters will separate and make their way back to simultaneous landings at Landing Zone 2 and Landing Zone 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station.
Now, next up, the
Falcon Heavy tanks are pressurizing for strong back retract.
There's a good call out. So we're expecting soon, within the next minute or so, that strong back to slowly recline away from the rocket. So that truss structure next to the vehicle is called the transporter erector, which is also called the TE, or the strong back by the launch team. In preparation for retraction, those clamp arms around the second stage will open, making way for the transporter erector to move away from the vehicle. That TE is designed to transport, raise,
strong back retract has started,
and support the rocket at the launch pad. So in a few seconds here, we'll start to see those arms, those clamp arms underneath the second stage start to open. And it's going to take about 15 seconds for them to fully open. But then once they're out of the way, the strong back is free to recline away from the vehicle and give it room for liftoff. And you can start to see those clamp arms opening now. Now that those arms are open, the rocket is fully free at the top.
NY, LOX load complete.
There we heard the call out that one of the side boosters is now complete with its LOX load, so it's fully loaded with all of its propellants. We can see that strong back slowly start to retract away.
LOX load complete.
And then we heard the call out that we are fully loaded with LOX on the other side booster. Now, as we mentioned earlier, this is our first Falcon Heavy flight since 2024, and a lot's going to happen in the first 4 minutes of flight. First, we'll light the 2 side boosters, followed by the center core. Then about 40 seconds after liftoff, we will decrease power on the 2 side boosters in preparation for max Q. At about 2.5 minutes into flight, the side boosters shut down during the booster engine cutoff, or BECO, and the boosters will separate. Once clear of the side boosters, the center core will throttle up once again until the center core shuts down with main engine cutoff, or MECO.
Center core LOX load complete.
And there we heard the call out that stage 1 LOX load is complete, so at this point in time, both side boosters and the center core are now fully loaded with liquid oxygen. Meanwhile, those side boosters will complete their flip maneuvers and boost back burns, making their way back to Earth for recovery. And then the first stage will separate from the second stage around the 4-minute mark, and the second stage will light its engine, and the fairing will separate.
We're coming up on our last milestone of propellant loading, which will be the completion of second stage liquid oxygen loading. Propellant load has been underway since the T-minus 50-minute mark.
Stage 2 LOX load complete.
Right on time, and with that, liquid oxygen has loaded on to stage 2. Falcon Heavy is fully loaded with nearly 3 million pounds of propellant. Coming up next will be ground gas closeouts at the launch pad. Looking at the T-minus 1 minute mark, Falcon Heavy will enter startup, and the onboard flight computers will take over the launch countdown.
Ground gas closeouts.
The increase in white cloud and the venting that you hear is a nominal part of ground closeouts, and it comes from venting down the TE liquid oxygen fill line. We're now standing by for Falcon Heavy to enter startup.
Falcon Heavy is in startup.
Stages 1 and 2 will now begin to pressurize for launch.
Hold. Hold.
Launch abort is running.
As you just heard, we did have a hold in the countdown. We're standing by to get a little bit more information on the nature of the abort. As you heard on the nets, it looks like we will be standing down from today's launch attempt due to weather. The vehicle and payloads remain in good health, and our next launch opportunity is tomorrow at 10. As always, thank you so much for watching, and we hope to see everyone back here for our next attempt.